is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Yes.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. It is Friday, October 2nd. I'm Tori here with Jeff. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. We actually have a 4-person team, which I love. Brandon and Al are joining us from home. It's good to see all of you gentlemen. Let's get straight into the story because it's everywhere today. It is, of course, that the president and the first lady have tested positive for coronavirus, which I'm sure you have all heard about already. So they tweeted about their positive tests last night, and we're now learning that they're both showing mild symptoms. The New York Times reports the president was lethargic and hoarse at his fundraiser last night. Now, this was the last picture taken of President Trump as he returned from that event in New Jersey. He is expected to actually possibly address the nation at some point today, but that he remains on the job. Vice President Mike Pence and his wife have tested negative, and the White House says he's ready to help fill in as needed as the president and first lady quarantine for the next 2 weeks. The president's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and her husband, Jared Kushner, who have been traveling really close with the president, have also tested negative. We're also getting word that the president's son, 14-year-old Barron Trump, has tested negative. Joe Biden has just tweeted, this in response to the news, saying, Jill and I send our thoughts to President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump for a swift recovery. We will continue to pray for the health and safety of the president and his family. We're also just getting brand new information, gentlemen, that Joe Biden and Jill Biden have both tested negative for the coronavirus. So I wanted to get us the most up to date. Let's just go down the line. Al, what's your reaction to hearing this news?
You know, Tori, I saw this and I thought about how the country would react. I thought about what people would say on Twitter. I thought about what we'd say on this show. I thought of what about our viewers would say back. But then I started to kind of bring it in a little bit. I thought about Ivanka getting that phone call that her father has contracted the virus. I started thinking about the thousands of people around the world that would be getting the same news today. And I'd like to use this as a chance for all of us to realize that we as individuals can do something. Yesterday, in this living room that I'm talking to you right now, I got a mobile COVID test because I want to be a good citizen. So everybody, whether you believe it or not, just please be as safe as possible and get yourself tested so we can get past this.
That's completely fair. Brandon, what was your reaction to that?
You know, it's kind of what, to piggyback off of Al, I'm hoping that Americans, the people who aren't taking this more seriously, are now. Because if you think about it, when I think of the president getting this, yes, I understand he's 73 years old and he may be a bit over the weight, but the president has the top physicians and doctors at his service right now. What I'm thinking about is our grandparents, my grandparents, your grandparents, the Americans who don't have health insurance, the Americans who are older and don't have the type of, who won't receive the type of care that the president will get. So I'm hoping that this is some sort of wake-up call to those people who thought this was fake, who thought this was a hoax, and this will wake us up to realize that this virus is real and we need to continue to do more to not only protect ourselves, but our friends, families, and loved ones.
Jeff, you're nodding your head to Brandon. What's your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wake-up call. I'm going to piggyback off of that.
Nice
because,
piggies.
Yeah, a lot of little piggies
Little
in here.
ones, yeah.
So, no, you know, give or take a few, half the country, or whatever the percentage is, doesn't believe in wearing masks, doesn't believe they're going to contract this virus, and if they do, it's not going to be a big deal. But we're not talking to you specifically. We're talking about your family, your parents, your people that you know that have pre-existing conditions, yeah. So conditions, yeah. Sorry, I can't get it out. I'm stuck up with the piggy thing in my head. So that I wanted to piggyback off of that. That's what I wanted to do. But more importantly, this is what I wanted to say this morning. I'm trying to keep myself off of social media, off my phone altogether these days, right? I don't check my phone. And robotically, I woke up and I went on Instagram, which is the only social media I have left. And I caught myself going on Instagram, and the first 3 messages were, karma's a B. Way to go, President Trump. Now I hope everyone opens their eyes. 3 negative comments about the president right in a row. And I'm like, what am I doing? Shut my phone off. Listen, this isn't about you're right or you're wrong or pointing the fingers. People need to worry about themselves. If you wear a mask, good for you. Let's go down a scenario where you don't wear a mask for a couple of months. Everybody contracts the virus and a lot more people die. Hopefully this is, like I said at the beginning of this with the whole piggy thing, a wake-up call.
That's very well said. And again, our thoughts and prayers are to the president, the first lady, to the whole family, to making sure everyone's feeling better. We have nothing but healing thoughts sending their way. But please know, the main point that you get out of this all is 3 words: wear a mask. That is clearly the takeaway from this, and we hope.
And take precautions.
And take
Not
precautions.
3 words. There's more than that. You got to take precautions. You have to
Social
do things that
distance,
obviously you want to do. You want to see your family, but you don't. You don't spread it, because in the end, the only way to get rid of this thing is if everybody contracts it, right? And that's ridiculous.
I agree with you. So make sure you guys have precautions and stay true to what the scientists have said, especially listen to Dr. Anthony Fauci. Well, with the president's positive coronavirus diagnosis, folks are starting to do contact tracing. There's a lot of worries. He could have been a super spreader, as he's had a very busy schedule this past week. The president's close personal advisor, Hope Hicks, tested positive yesterday, and there's a long list of people who traveled with her recently, including all of the president's family, other high-profile officials, as well as Rudy Giuliani. There are also concerns that the president or Hicks exposed people at the debate on Tuesday night. Now, the president and Hicks were also at a rally in Duluth, Minnesota on Wednesday, with many people in attendance not wearing masks. Do you think we will see a shift in people's perspectives on this, Brandon, because now that the person at the top and his wife have it, do you think we'll see a shift?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is real. And this is something I believe that President Trump needs to come out and tweet about this. You know, it took him a while to start wearing masks and to tell people, hey, you should start wearing masks. But now that you actually have it, and now you have to be quarantined, and you realize that you're getting some blowback on this because of this, I think he has the presidential duty to come out there, whether it's tweet or do some sort of interview, and tell people, be transparent with people, and let them know, like, hey, this is real, and we need to nip this thing in the bud. So I believe that I hope that his advisors will tell him to come out and tell people to start taking this more seriously.
Yeah, we have heard from Mark Meadows, the chief of staff, earlier, and I'm betting today we will, I think, hear from the president address the nation. Al and Jeff, I just want to get your opinion real quick if you think other people in the administration will get this coronavirus or have it.
Yeah, I do. And unfortunately, the people in the White House not only are usually a little bit older, but, Tori, you know, they're stressed. This is the way that you contract the virus when your immune system is down. So I will say that, and I'll also push back on Brandon. I don't want the president to tweet about it. I want an address. I want a Face the Nation,
Right.
State of the Nation address. What is more important? I'll send a tweet if I really like the new BK vegan sandwich. This is bigger than that. We need to hear from the president about how we move forward from this so we're not stuck in this quagmire.
1,000% agree. A face-to-face is so much important to see that he's okay. Also, Jeff, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. And also, I do want to say, I hope that the testing that they have done stops the spread in that circle, right? Because I think testing is very important, and hopefully they can separate those who have it and those who don't. But the message that I want to put out to everybody is, this isn't a party line thing. Just because you don't, we're condemning the Trump's supporters for not wearing a mask. Biden also has rallies. There are also peaceful protests on the street. Let's talk to everybody. I don't care if the majority on this side are wearing them or the majority aren't wearing them on this side. Let's stop making it blue and red, and let's talk about this as a country, as a virus that's killing us. Let's stop with the political lines and tell everybody, not separate people into groups, tell everybody to wear a mask.
Perhaps all Americans. That's exactly right. Well, we're continuing this conversation about President Trump after the break. You guys are writing in like mad. I've never seen this many on. Coming up, the risk factors he's facing as he fights the virus. And could Vice President Mike Pence actually take over if things take a turn for the worse? And later, of course, we're going to bring in our medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. She weighs in on the president's diagnosis. Do not go away.
See yourself.
Welcome back to DBL. We've been covering the coronavirus on this show for months now, and one of the things we've heard about for so long now is that older, overweight males are at higher risk. That's just a fact. Now, that's exactly the case with the president. This isn't a diss. This is the truth, and we want to give the facts out. He's 74, which means he is 5 times more likely to be hospitalized, and he's 90 times more likely to die than someone in their 20s. That's according to the CDC. He's also categorized as obese, weighing 244 pounds at his last physical, which is another possible risk factor. Now, that brings up this issue of the 25th Amendment, and don't worry, we're going to explain it to you so that you can understand. If something happens to the president, the 25th Amendment says that Vice President Mike Pence would become acting president. Jeff, I want to know if you worry the president could get that sick and that will go down the line. If you don't know, if Pence is sick, it then goes to Speaker of the House, and that would be Nancy Pelosi. Thank you for shouting that, Al, from your corner.
That was the one answer I knew, Tori. I was so proud of that.
Cleveland Browns.
I learned it from that show, Veep.
Good for you. I'm proud of you for learning not that in 8th grade. Jeff, what do you think? Do you think this could actually happen?
Yes, it could. People don't take this disease as serious as they should, right? You know, there's many people that are my age or younger that are in great health that have died from this disease. And there's some people that are asymptomatic that don't even know they have it. What the president has, we don't know yet, but he does have the top medical advisors in the world, hopefully in at least America, helping him. But you don't know how it's going to strike his immune system, and neither does anybody out there. So listen, I wish the best for the President Trump and his whole family, but I want this to be an example of some sort to people out there to open their eyes a little bit.
I completely agree. And again, I'm going to say it until you hate me. Wear a mask, social distance, test.
Well, I'm talking about everything, the obesity, all of it. I'm talking
the
check
whole
every
package.
box. Yes.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest questions right now, well, what will the president's coronavirus diagnosis mean for the campaign? Remember, we're in October. We're 30-something days away from the election. The president is known for his rallies like this one, and he had several on his calendar, including ones in D.C. and Florida today, 2 in Wisconsin on Saturday. Those are likely to be canceled. There's also the question about the next presidential debate, which is scheduled, right, for October 15th. But that's within the 2-week quarantine period. Al, I got to go to you here, and Brandon, what do you think this means for the campaign?
I think he's
first
in
and
trouble.
foremost, Al's answer was invalid because he didn't buzz in. You know, he didn't buzz in. But
That's totally fair. Brandon, go ahead.
In terms of the campaign, Tori, I wanted to ask you this question. This is just an hypothetical. Let's say something did happen to President Trump. Does Mike Pence now become the automatic Republican nominee? Because we are in an election year.
That's a really good point. I don't know actually the answer to that. I do know, though, that Reagan, for instance, when he went under anesthesia, he would have his vice president step up and take the 25th Amendment. It's not unheard of that this happens if they're going under a dental procedure and you don't want someone incompetent running the country. So this has happened before, and if it happens again, Pence has tested negative, so he should be able to step up. But that's a great question that I'll find out the answer to. I can't believe I don't know.
I do.
Coming up.
Are you going to let Al talk?
Al? I have 10 seconds. Thanks a lot.
10 seconds. I just want to say I love you guys, and we hope the president gets well. What do you want?
We love you so much, Al.
Good job, Chris Wallace.
Oh, man, you're the one who told me to go to Bam! Coming up on DBL, our medical pro, finally our professional with Dr. Payal Kohli with her expert opinion on the president's COVID diagnosis. You want to stick around for this.
This is a paid advertisement.
Welcome back to DBL. The breaking news that President Donald Trump has tested positive for coronavirus has opened up many questions about his health.
And we were having a prior conversation.
We were. We're not
Yes.
laughing at all. This
Yes.
was off camera. Apologies for that. That's why we're bringing in our medical expert. She's an actual professional, Dr. Payal Kohli. Welcome, doctor. There's a million questions viewers are wondering, but let's just start with this. How do you expect the president to do with the virus?
So, Tori and Jeff, it's very difficult to speculate exactly how his clinical course is going to look. What we do know from White House reports as of this morning is that he is having mild symptoms and has been having them since Wednesday. So the next 7 days or so are really going to be telling, because that's really when clinical decompensation can occur, if it's going to occur. But if he's going to recover, then, that would obviously be the period for him to do so. Now, he does have some high-risk features. As you've talked about already, he has obesity. He's in an older age group at age of 74, but he also has some other features that came out on his physical last year. He's high blood pressure. He has calcium in his arteries around his heart, which means he has heart disease. And then remember, he took that trip to Walter Reed last year, and we don't really know what came out of it. So, but despite all of how unsettling this new news has been, I do want to reassure everybody that the statistical probability that the president is going to recover is actually quite high.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Is there any medications, doctor, that can treat the president right now? I know he was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, that hydroxychloroquine, was he talking about that?
Or remdesivir, is that something?
So great questions. Hydroxychloroquine had been investigated as a treatment and has been revoked by the FDA's emergency use authorization because of its risk and lack of benefit. So if the president continues to remain mildly symptomatic as he is now and he stays home, really there's not a lot of treatments. We would just give him Tylenol and supportive therapy. If he unfortunately decompensates and ends up in the hospital, that's when we reach for things like remdesivir or dexamethasone, which is a steroid that's been shown to reduce mortality. But we certainly hope that the president continues to stay at home and just have a mild version of the illness and recovers.
And just so you guys know, there's a whole Bethesda Naval Hospital wing for the president. If anything goes wrong, that is there specifically for the president. So he has the best doctors surrounding him. Even if Vice President Pence tested negative today, is it possible he could test positive in a few days?
Absolutely. And this is a really critical point. In fact, this is exactly what happened with Hope Hicks and with President Trump himself. They were both tested on Tuesday. They were negative. And then, of course, they both tested positive in the subsequent days. And the idea here, you guys, that I really want to drive home is that testing doesn't prevent the spread of the virus. What prevents the spread of the virus is masks, social distancing, and washing hands. Because if I get exposed today, my test might be negative for 5 days or longer, and I'm continuing to spread the virus during that pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic period and exposing others. So that's why we have to wear those masks, even if our tests come out negative.
What a reminder. Thank you so much. This is all big information for what is huge news for our country. Thank you for navigating it with us, because it's unsettling for a lot of us. So we are here for you and the American people. We appreciate it. Again, we'll be right back.
Promotional consideration.
Welcome back to DBL. We've all heard of flying cars in the future, the Jetsons, but how about Transformer-like cars? We're chatting about it on today's DBL Drive, sponsored by who, y'all?
You didn't go to Back to the Future?
Car Shield. No, I didn't, and you missed the line. Check out these images from Hyundai. This is insane. The Korean automaker just announced a new division devoted to ultimate mobility vehicles, aka walking cars. These cars are built to scale, a mountainside, or walk over rocks, something we've only seen in movies and video games. These cars are meant to target customers who have a need to travel in unconventional places. No timeline or release date has been set. When it comes to your car, for peace of mind, get an auto protection plan with Car Shield. Car Shield protects their members from the high cost of auto repairs. Call 1-800-505-9619 for a free quote. Well, that's scary.
I'm not even sure what to say.
I'm very scared. I feel like I'm in the Minority Report. I don't like it, but I'm sure I'll sound old in 20 years.
What, do you think you're going to have one of those?
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, who has to travel in those? Brandon, what do you think is unconventional places, like Mars?
I can see Tori having one of those, but it's going to be a Fiat.
Listen, Tori gets lost in the parking lot. She's not going in unconventional places with that thing.
I don't know where I am anywhere. I really don't. I have some comments because we got a lot of people writing in. Jamie says, hopefully more people will take this seriously. Renee says, prayers to Trump and his family with hearts and flag emojis. Marilyn says, thankfully Joe and Jill are negative. Lisa says, supporters will no longer believe it's a hoax. But we did get one of them that says something mean, and I'm not going to even read it. Again, today is the day to just pray that our country and the leader of our country is okay. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and always remember, when you have one finger pointing out, you have three pointing back at you.
That's exactly right. DBL's new every day. We'll see you Monday, same time, same place.